Women are eating cockroaches in Japan.
朝でございます。東京8月。さあ、朝ごはん作っていくわよ。
Women are eating cockroaches in Japan. Japan is suffering from an extreme hikikomori problem. Basically, these are people who are shut-ins that don't want to go outside. Watch the end of the video to understand why women are eating cockroaches in Japan and how this is potentially going to spread to Western society and impact more lives of women as well as even men. Let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
I should have listened to Asmongold. This shouldn't be a man's job. I should have a girlfriend do this.
You might be wondering why me, the dictionary definition of a slob, have decided to make a change and start living like a normal human being.
And before we continue, just to let you guys know that today's video comes from Pathis. His channel will be linked in the description. And now let's just continue watching.
Actually, maybe it's better that I just show you.
You've probably heard that Japan has a huge hikikomori problem. Hikikomori are people who are withdrawn from society and basically spend all their time in their own room or apartment. It is a huge growing problem since already there are around 1 million people in Japan confined in their apartments. Make that 1,000,001. Since hikikomoris have become normalized, it is no surprise that people have started to watch content made by them too.
最後に使うな、これ。もうこれでね、何作るかわかるよね。カレー食べたいな、なんて。
We people are attracted to extremes. That's why shows like Keeping Up with the Kardashians and Hoarders are popular. If we put people on a spectrum, most people live normal lives, around here, and they are fascinated by people who live very different lives compared to theirs.
And the more extreme you go, the more you stand out.
この上京してから4年以上、一度もお掃除しない部屋を軽く片付けましょう。
So she said that since she moved there more than 4 years ago, she has not cleaned her room. And this is a hikikomori who basically puts videos up online of how she's living in Japan as a hikikomori.
よーし、引きこもり歴10年の最強ちゃんが10秒で作れるカレーライスを教えようじゃないか。
This has caused hikikomori content creators to compete who can live the most disgusting lives in order to get views.
Some people just pretend to live in filth, like this girl who cleaned up her trash and put it behind her to pretend she's living that hikikomori lifestyle. And then there's the real deals, like Haritsu, who popped off recently for cooking and eating literally rotten food. It's obvious that he is clearly playing it up for the camera, even though of course he is living in an absolute nightmare apartment. But it's working. This guy has tens of millions of views on each of his videos, and every day more people are entering into the competition.
どうしよう。こぼしちゃった。
The most recent one being Saikyo-chan, who I want to concentrate on today, because last week her videos became mega viral, being shared all over the internet.
I know you guys want to just keep on watching. Guys, Gen Z is so mentally ill. Oh my god. 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 I'm sorry to interrupt y'all. But 91% of Gen Zers have reported that they have a mental illness, while 25% have reported that they have a long-term mental illness that will likely lead to a disability, like them going on social security disability. Oh my god, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, what are we watching? Oh my god, I'm sorry for interrupting y'all. I'm sorry. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Pretty obvious why she immediately started trending on Twitter and had her videos shared on Reddit. not to mention getting millions of views on TikTok.
It is rare to see a pretty young girl living in these kind of conditions, which by itself is novel, so it's not surprising people started sharing them.
But I think the biggest reason is that since she is a pretty girl, she immediately has multiple audiences interested in this kind of content.
First of all, there are those who like watching other people who are doing worse than them. Then there are people who relate to her, like other hikikomoris.
And lastly, those people who find out she's never had a boyfriend and think to themselves, that could be me. I can fix her.
この顔で歩き行きたい。
One thing I don't want to do in this video is make fun of her or be like, oh my god, look at her, she's so crazy. Because I actually watched an interview that she did a year ago, before she became famous, and it is very obvious that she doesn't have her life in control because of external factors.
いや親と縁切ってるんで、一応他人ってなってるから、なんか何年も会ってないから今生きてるかどうかすら分かんないんですよね。生存すら分かんなくて、もう何年も会ってないし、なんか連絡、なんかそのメールとか LINE とか電話すらしないんですよね。
高1で初めて精神病棟入院？
そうですね。高1ぐらいから精神がかかるようになって、なんかその実際なんかその入院する前にもなんか心療内科かな。その入院する精神科医科の心療内科とかかかったこととかあって、なんか私は漢方薬処方されて飲んでた時期もありました。だから漢方薬飲みながらこう通ってた時期もありましたね。
どれぐらいの期間に入院してたんですか
？16歳から17歳で1年と1ヶ月です。確か小走りかな、早歩きで逃げましたね。あんまね、早く走っちゃって病院なんで廊下なんで危ないんで、とにかく早く小走りか早歩きで逃げました。そういうこともありましたね。
I think you can criticize and make fun of people who could have control of their lives if they just, tried. Like, I think you can make fun of me for the way I live, or for my weight, or something that I could change if I actually tried, if I just put my mind into it, because I am still a relatively sane person, and the reason I am the way I am is simply because of my own fault. To an extent, of course. I wouldn't want to wake up every day to people ridiculing me online, but I think you get the point.
However, in this interview, Saikyo-chan goes on detail about her past of abuse, parental troubles, and mental illness. It quickly becomes clear that it isn't her fault she ended up in this situation, and honestly, it's sad that some of us have to struggle like her in life. Especially in Japan, where once you drop out of society, there are very little people out there willing to help, and mental health care is something Japan as a society is very much behind in. Most of her videos are about her cooking instant ramen either in her apartment or outside, where she very much stands out. One thing I personally wish she would post more are karaoke videos, because she is actually a really good singer. Though, unsurprisingly, her most watched videos are those where she shows around her apartment. The problem with her apartment isn't just that she suffers from it, because it actually affects everyone around her too. The apartment complex she lives in has a restaurant downstairs and a bakery right next to it, both of which have to suffer from the cockroaches coming out of her apartment. Not to mention her neighbors. They have banded together to try and get her to move out because the smell and cockroaches are making their way into their apartments. Just 2 weeks ago, they threatened to take her to civil court unless she either changes her behavior or moves out.
She's gonna be homeless soon. She's gonna be homeless soon. And the Japanese, there's a saying in Japan that the nail that stands out gets hammered in. So once they throw her out, she will be known around Japan, and it will become more difficult for her to get another place to live. This is horrendous. This is absolutely horrendous. And guys can see it's not just her faking it. She was in a mental hospital from 16 through 17. Before that, she was in a psychometric clinic. She really should not be out there in the streets, but Japan is out of mind, out of sight, out of mind. So as long as it's not personally affecting anyone around them, they would rather just leave her to the streets. Yeah, this is horrendous.
Japan, and especially Tokyo, is very densely populated, so having troublesome neighbors like her is something that really is a nightmare to the people around her, and I should know. My upstairs neighbor had a similar situation going on, which is why, as you can see, I put toilet paper to fill out the holes in my ceiling because cockroaches started to come out of there.
I also found out that he had made a Grindr account with pictures taken off my Instagram, inviting people to his apartment for threesomes. His plan was obviously that I wouldn't of course show up, and then he would be with the victim there, just two of them, and be like, well, since we're here. Not to mention my lovely neighbor who used to make this noise until 5 AM every single day. So from personal experience I can say that troublesome neighbors are something you really do not want in Japan, because everyone lives so close to each other, it's impossible to avoid interactions with these people.
We will see how the situation with Saikyo-chan develops, since she just made it big online, and right now all she is doing is live streaming to thousands of people on TikTok.
Just to be clear, I'd call the cops. I would call the police. I would so call the cops. I mean, I know that like there's this whole like we don't want to get involved things. I call the cops. I call the health department. I would cut like that's at that point my Japanese would become perfect. My Japanese would become perfect at that point. I would call all over the place to have her out. I am so serious. Okay? This is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. All right? No one should tolerate it. Below like a restaurant. Guys, this would not fly in the United States. I don't think so. I mean, like there's some real nasty dudes, nasty people here, but I don't think it would fly. Like someone would shut her down. All right, she would get shut down eventually. Like she needs to basically be in a white padded room where they can monitor her for the rest of her damn life. Okay, just like most of the people within her generation. This is how they want to. This is how they want to live their lives. Let them live their lives, but don't bring that garbage around us. All right, I said this plenty. I've referred to it as plenty of times as the sleeping and farting generation. And no, we do not have to tolerate this crap. Okay? Everyone is struggling right now. Everyone has their issues. All right? There's a lot of Gen Xers walking around with plenty of mental health issues. And guess what? They know the world does not give a damn about them. So they own it, and that's why Gen X says, leave us alone. Leave me alone. All right? Because they're dealing with their trauma like men and women, not like spoiled little children who are trying to take it out on everyone else and could care less about anyone else. The kindest thing you can do for others around you is to leave them alone and don't bring stress to other people. All right? The Gen Z is terrible. Absolutely terrible. This is the worst generation ever. And for anyone saying that it's not true, they're I don't know what bridge you are sleeping under. All right? This is the worst generation of people. And yes, I acknowledge Gen Alpha is coming. All right. I know just how bad Gen Alpha is. There's a lot of y'all in the comments. What about Gen Alpha? Yes, I know they are terrible. I know that this is going to be a generation, a large. I said it. I've been saying it for a year now. They're going to be a large prison population. I 100% acknowledge that. That does not change just how bad Gen Z is. Oh my living gosh! Holy cow! Jesus help us! No. And you know the sad thing is that as more men avoid relationships and marriage and dating, women are going to find themselves extremely lonely. 45% of all women will be childless and single come 2030, between the ages of 25 and 44. 45% of all women. I mean, guys, between those ages, guys, that's crazy, and that's not even counting the single mothers. At that point, it's like 70 to 90% of all women. There's going to be so many women who are going to be alone, living in poverty, destitution, in their cars, in shelters, on the streets, in the woods. It's going to be bad. It's going to be absolutely bad. And women are going to learn what it really means to be alone. Okay? Because those guys, the Chads and the Tyrones, those guys are not going to be there for them. Those guys are or will always be in demand. So they'll just be going from one woman to another woman. All right. They will not get any emotional support from these men. They will not get anything that they need from these men. These men will basically just be what they are. These men are just there for physical intimacy, and that's it. And they will not be there for them during their hardest of times. All right. And they're going to be looking for real men to step up. Oh, a real man does this. A real man. Men are, guys, soft guy era is only expanding. This is the beginning. People need to understand it started the inauguration for soft guy era was 2024. Even if they started posting about it a little bit before that, that was like those were the the beta test. That was like the beta test period. Soft guy era, it started in 2024. We're only like we're just a little more than halfway through 2024. We're just getting started. This is not. It started out as a joke. It's not a joke anymore. It's really not a joke anymore. Men are not playing games out here anymore. Only said, and the simp economy is moving overseas. So if a man is not a simp, they're basically saying, "What are you going to bring to the relationship?" Because any man who wants to get in a relationship right now, he's basically like, "Listen, if you don't have anything to offer, if you're broke, just say it. If you're broke, just say it."
Pictures of her infected food with mold growing out of it on Twitter. She also hasn't paid her rent in about 2 years, and now with the neighbors taking her into civil court, it's hard for me to think that she's gonna be living in her current place for too long. And I'm not saying this trend of rotmaxing, where people brag about their bad living conditions, is only happening in Japan, since recently there have been some Western live streamers too, boasting about their own filthiness.
I went over what we have. We have a roach infestation. Get some of these bowls down, that's a little crusted on, might need to soak it in some hot water first.
It makes them feel normal, and I know it sounds weird because this isn't normal.
But I think to many people, seeing millionaires like Asmongold live like they aren't millionaires gives them a certain authenticity, and it's part of their charm that money hasn't changed them.
In the end, I think we can all agree that even though this kind of content is popular and it will get you views, having this kind of trend in our society is pretty much a net negative. I have to be honest, watching hours of these poor girls attempt to become famous, it wasn't fun.
Guys, this is a sick reality we live in. All right. And women, and the truth is a lot of women are going to find themselves living in situations like this as loneliness becomes much more extreme, as more men avoid relationships and they realize that all they have left is Chad and Tyrone. And now they're getting older, and Chad and Tyrone doesn't even want to deal with them. Chad and Tyrone are moving on to a younger generation of women. You know, like that's just how it is. You know, 19-year-olds stay 19-year-olds forever. If you get what I mean. Basically, you know, men get older, but 19-year-olds stay 19 years old forever. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio. You know, as soon as his girlfriends turn 25, you know, it's, you know, he has to, you know, he just basically swaps them out. Guys, what do you think regarding this? This is crazy stuff. And if you're enjoying the content, subscribe to our newsletter for my personal thoughts, insights, and a free copy of my ebook, The Blueprint for Escaping the Rat Race. Click the link in the description to get your free copy. Guys, women are eating cockroaches in Japan. This was not clickbait. What do you guys think regarding this? Let me know your thoughts, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA Men walking away. And cheers.